Hello and welcome to Middle East Matters here on France 24. Coming up in this edition, Shia rebels in Yemen celebrating as the UN-backed peace deal follows their lightning advance through the capital Sana'a. Inside the Islamic State organisation, we bring you rare footage from the extremist stronghold in the Syrian city of Raqqa. And could the threat posed by those extremists lead to a thawing of relations between two of the region's bitterest rivals, Saudi Arabia and Iran? We start in Yemen and the signing of a UN-backed peace deal between the government and Shia rebels. As well as an immediate end to hostilities, the agreement will see power shared between the country's various factions. The rebels have been celebrating following a sweep of the capital Sana'a, during which they seized homes, offices and military bases from their Sunni rivals. Some 340 people were killed in the space of a week. France 24's Kate Moody looks back at the rise of the rebels.
One by one, Yemen's political powers sign a peace agreement. In addition to an immediate ceasefire, the text calls for the formation of a new government within a month, one that would include members of the Shiite rebel group Ansar Allah. The rebels, also known as the Houthis after their leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi, have for years been fighting for more power in Yemen. This summer they stepped up their offensive, advancing from their stronghold in the northern province of Sada towards the capital. With financial backing from Iran and Saudi Arabia, the Houthis have also been helped by their former nemesis, ex-President Ali Abdullah Saleh.
The old regime and Yemen's neighbours have found themselves with one common enemy today. That's the Muslim Brotherhood. They've allied themselves against this group that's becoming more powerful and worrying both Yemen's neighbours and the international community.
They're joining forces against al-Islah, Yemen's primary Sunni Islamist party and the political arm of the Muslim Brotherhood there, whose members are part of the new coalition. The rebels hope to reduce al-Islah's influence and rebuild Yemen in their own mould.
In my opinion, the new government that's being formed will be mostly run by the Houthis. The Houthis want to create a Shiite Islamic State and bring back what's called the era of imams in Yemen, which ended with the revolution of September 1962.
To that end, the Houthis have styled themselves the saviors of the Yemeni people, who are struggling with the rising cost of living, a lack of basic services, and government corruption. But their ascension to power could spell the end of the promise of a secular Yemen, one of the goals of the Arab Spring Revolution of 2011.
Next to Raqqa, the Syrian city that's been a stronghold for the Islamic State organisation since it ousted government forces last year. Since then, the jihadists have swept through much of Syria and neighbouring Iraq and declared their caliphate, prompting US-led airstrikes. Getting footage out of Raqqa is a tricky business, but back in April, one female student did manage to film a snapshot of daily life there.
A glimpse into another world. This footage has been filmed by a woman who's concealed a camera under her required niqab, risking her own safety as she walks through the streets of Raqqa. Guns are everywhere, brandished not only by militants, but also by women, like this one on her way to a children's playground. Without warning, the woman with the hidden camera is stopped in the street.
والله عن جد أنا آسفة بس يمكن هذا شفاف شوي لا تواخذني يا يبقى حلال احسع ستر الله عمرك بس ستر خلص تأمر لا تواخذنا.
Female residents of Raqqa are now forced to wear the full niqab. Men and women must attend prayer and aren't allowed to enjoy music or any other entertainment. For thousands of Syrian women, this is the new reality. But there are others who've chosen this way of life and have come from France of their own free will. In this internet cafe, women, fully covered, are speaking in perfect French.
J'ai pas pris le risque de venir ici pour revenir en France. Je ne reviendrai pas en France.
Sometimes the families on the other end of these conversations cry, unable to understand the radical choice that brought their daughters here. Some of these women came here to get married, others arrived with their husbands. Experts say that these women play a key part in the extremists' propaganda machine.
These are women who are drawn here, either to form their own families or to serve as a mother figure for orphans here. This role is so valued that it becomes attractive.
It's believed that some 150 French women are in Syria to join Islamist militants who've taken hold there.
The Islamic State organisation has continued its advance in northern Syria. That's forced an exodus of tens of thousands of Kurds into neighbouring Turkey. Our correspondents Fatma Gizil-Boga and Gallagher Fenwick witnessed the scenes at the border. Turkish authorities there dealing both with a refugee crisis and with people who want to cross into Syria to take the fight to the jihadists.
Syrian refugees watch fearfully as fighters of the Islamic State organization raise their flag over their village. Those who escaped bring food for their relatives who stayed behind to guard the cattle. Turkish soldiers agree to pass it on across the border.
The organization of the Islamic State is in our village. No one can go there to see what's going on. Our animals are caught between the border fence and the fields. Some of them have died of hunger and thirst.
Turkish soldiers are keeping a close eye on the violence next door. Jihadist fighters are attacking Kurdish Syrian villages just a few kilometers away.
Okay, so we are safe here.
Safe, but not. No one can guarantee.
No one can guarantee it?
Yes.
So you cannot guarantee my safety here?
No.
Those who made it safely into Turkey tell us that the lives they left behind are ruined.
They came inside our village and killed those who tried to fight back. They destroyed everything. I don't know what happened to my house after I left.
These people who have been observing the fighting all day are wondering why Turkish troops posted at the border are not taking shots at the jihadists on the other side.
The challenge posed by the Islamic State organisations prompted a potential thawing of relations between two of the region's key powers, Sunni Saudi Arabia and Shia Iran. France 24's Sanam Shantai and Haxi Myers-Belkin report on the chances of an end to a decades-long feud.
Two Gulf nations, Saudi Arabia and Iran, rivals for over 3 decades, moving to settle their differences. On the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York on Sunday, the two countries' foreign ministers met for over an hour.
My Saudi counterpart and I believe that this meeting will be the first page of a new chapter in our two countries' relations. We hope that this new chapter will be effective in establishing regional and global peace and security and will safeguard the interests of Muslim nations across the world.
For some 35 years, Tehran and Riyadh have been split across sectarian lines. The mistrust between the Sunni monarchy and the Shiite revolutionary state reached its lowest point following Saudi support for Iraq's invasion of Iran in 1980, which led to an 8-year war. Since then, the two countries have backed opposing sides in regional political struggles, as seen in Bahrain in 2011, where the Saudis dispatched military forces following anti-government protests, an incursion opposed by the Iranians. The proxy war between the two countries has also played out in Lebanon, Yemen and, more significantly, Syria, where Iran continues to bolster the regime of Bashar al-Assad, while the Saudis have been providing military and financial support to the rebels. But with both nations aghast at the rapid advances made by the militants of the Islamic State organization across Syria and Iraq, Saudi Arabia and Iran are realizing that they have a common enemy in the radical Sunni group.
In Iran, they knew that these groups were dangerous. They know that Saudi Arabia was in some way behind them, so there's a feeling that they absolutely need to talk to Saudi Arabia to ultimately stop the funding that Saudi Arabia is providing to these groups. And from the Saudi side, there's the impression that these groups are really out of control, so they need to talk to Iran to establish a unified response.
But the two regional powers have by no means put aside all their differences, not least concerning Tehran's nuclear program, a show of Iranian power deeply worrying for Riyadh.
That's all we have time for on this edition of Middle East Matters. Do stay with us here on France 24.